Great day, everyone. Ed Dudley coming at you again with another connected conversation. And I have a new friend on the line, and I met this gentleman a little while ago, and I promised him I'd go visit him, and turned around and went to go see him probably a week later. But this is a
No, it
man
was
that
days later, man. You were here like
was
two
it
days
days
later.
later?
Yeah,
It was days later. Okay, I try to be a man of my word.
your
So,
action.
yeah, Action Jackson. Remember Action Jackson? This is a man that he's actually moved to the Durham, North Carolina area, probably, I think it was around the same time I did, maybe a year or later. But Mr. Justin Minot, the man on a mission and making moves in North Carolina. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm so good. I love life. So glad to be here. Thanks for making this happen.
No, thank you for taking the time out of your day, because I know you could be, you're making some coffee somewhere, because I need a cup right about now.
Right? Well, yeah, you could come by. Natalie's still slinging them out there, my partner.
Nice.
She's killing the game out there. So always got something going on for
All
sure.
right, well, sounds good. Well, I just want to take this time today and introduce you to my network because I think you're doing some amazing stuff out there. And I mean, you got your hands full because you got your hands a little bit of everything. So I just, introduce yourself, tell the people who you are and what you're doing.
Wow. All right. So Justin Minot, I am a man who loves people. I love business, and I love, what's the third one? Probably making a difference. Those are kind of my top three. And so really all I do in life is really simple is I just look for that intersection. How do I combine humans and business and making a difference in the highest and best? My mentor would always talk about, what's the highest and best use? So I just think about that for the short time that I have on this planet. What is the highest and best use of my life, my talents, the gifts that I have? How can I bring those into the world in a way that makes the most positive impact? So how that plays out for me right now, I run Nolia Coffee here in Durham, family-centric coffee shop. And really the origin of that is because, we're parents. We have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And there was just nothing for us. No great coffee with, people not looking at your little kids like they're a monster. And so we saw a gap, really just tried to solve our own problem and hoped it was someone else's problem. So that was fun. I do a lot of business coaching. I really love helping people win in life. I get probably more joy out of other people winning than I do out of me winning. And so that's really fulfilling. And I'm right now in the process of building an online community called the Commonwealth of Enlightenpreneurs. So for really high impact centered entrepreneurs and leaders to come together and really find their tribe, because it can be lonely out there. So networking and building all that type of stuff, which I know we got a lot to connect on that front. But those are kind of the 3 big ones in the fire. I've written a book, I've done all this type of stuff. But again, people see like the body of work. It's like, it's like you, man. People look at your life, it's like, man, Ed's always doing something, but it comes from a really deep place of passion for me, and it has to come out. I feel like if I were to bottle this all up and, just keep it to myself, that would be a very selfish life, and I would probably explode. So that's why I'm showing up in the world in all these different ways, not just because I like being busy, but because I feel like I have something to give. So,
Man, I love you. I love you showing up.
Thanks, man.
You're showing up and showing out, man. That's what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, 2020 has been a real interesting year.
Sure.
To say the least, people forget about the fires in Australia because COVID. Yeah, somebody once told me it's called Miss Rona. Put some respect on her name.
Right.
Rona came, then we had the social injustice that that's been bubbling up everywhere, really bringing it to the forefront. But how are you, your family, and the business doing during this unprecedented 2020?
Sure. It's a big challenge right now. And at the same time, my journey from the time I was conceived until now, I was trying to even think back, has been a pretty wild ride. And that's a way too long of a story to get into on this show. But my mentor would always talk about, no hill for a climber. I bring him a challenge. Hey, this is what I'm going through. He's like, all right, no hill for a climber. So this is big. Coronavirus is big. Everything that's going on, all the unrest and whatever is big. It's a bigger hill than usual. But really, I feel like these are my moments. This is where I shine. This is where I thrive, because there's no hill for a climber. I'm used to climbing hills. It's a bigger one. And I'm in it. And then the big piece that allows me to really navigate this right now is that my heart, my bent, where I keep my eyes on a good day when I'm not getting overwhelmed is how can I serve? How can I love, right? And so in a moment like this, if you're service oriented and you're looking for the gaps, you're looking for opportunities to make someone's life better. I mean, talk about this year. I have this there's a massive opening in so many different ways and so many gaps and so many ways that people need to be loved and served. Someone like me, I feel like I'm overwhelmed with opportunities of ways that I can give back. And yeah, so that's how I would say I'm keeping sane right now and going through this is I keep my eye on how can I love and what do I have, right? Like, what do I have in my hand? How can I use it to make a difference? And so that's keeping me pretty busy in the middle of all this pandemic stuff and race dynamics and all these things, these intersections that we live at. Yeah, I'm not bored. That's for sure.
Yeah. You said a key word, and it really resonated with me, and it was the serve.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone in this, juncture of my life or chapter, however you want to frame it, it's all about service. How can I serve someone?
Yes.
So I've been busy, this year, even though we had all this stuff going on, it's just about serving other people.
Yes.
And this is a great opportunity for us as a community to come together and serve each other.
Right.
So that's what I love when you talked about service and being.
I think we're going to see our humanity come to another level through this. It's almost like how when you go to the gym and your muscles tear a little bit to get stronger, it's like these micro tears and they grow back stronger. Now, obviously, you don't want to tear it completely because then that causes damage. But right now, if there are these opportunities or these ways that there's unrest or things coming to the surface, I think if we rally together and focus on our shared humanity, can have us coming out stronger, more tighter knit, with systems that actually make more sense and are sustainable and good for the environment and good for the people. And this is it's an opportunity. It's a window right now where we know things, and really coronavirus, what I feel like it's done has amplified the situations that were already going on, right? Like we already know that this form of capitalism does not work. Because if it's not good for everybody, it's not good for anybody, right? We already know that the race dynamics and the different ways of systemic oppression, like that can't work. And what this has done, these moments, has really just allowed that to come to the surface. It's like it comes to the surface, you can kind of scrape it off and reimagine a new way of being together, a new way of living that actually is a win for the people and the planet and all of it, because we're not doing it. The system's broken. And so I'm thankful for coronavirus for that, of exposing, speeding up this process of exposing what's already been broken.
Yeah, that's good, man. I like that.
Yeah.
So what are you working on these days that you'd like to share with us? Did I lose you, Justin?
Man, the main thing right off of Enlightenment, so we have the network. Oh, am I there?
Yeah.
Am I there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my main focus right now is access to network for people that aren't traditionally at the table. We had a big interview with Farad Ali and Aisha Allen and Melanie Bullock I don't even know how long ago now. And one of the things that came up was one of the gaps specifically in the Black community is access to network. So we often think about access to capital. We think about access to different resources and all these different things as an entrepreneur. But access to network is so massive, which is why I love the work that you're doing, right? Like that's a big gap, and it's something that I've taken for granted. I've always had access to different networks. People open up their Rolodex to me, connections, all that type of stuff. I can always call somebody and have an answer to a question. And I realize that's not the case for a lot of people, or they're not used to navigating those spaces. And so we've been thinking about, all right, what does it look like to really focus on making seats at the table, having access for people, access to network, access to training, access to coaching, who traditionally don't plug into those networks. So that's really what I'm working on right now. It's pretty interesting too, because there's an appetite for this, especially going on with all, George Floyd and the pieces that are unfolding. A lot of companies, specifically bigger companies, are not wanting to just throw up a black square on their social media. They want to do something tangible. They're realizing that they actually have to put their money where their mouth is, or put their time or their resources in ways that are tangible. So we're actually getting some sponsors who want to make room at the table for these other entrepreneurs. So they're coming on, and it's just a really tangible way of making a difference, specifically in the Black community, where I'm passionate about. But one of the things, and this is, I don't know, might be a little controversial, and I'm just kind of wrestling through it on air right now, is there's a lot of movements right now. Okay, we want to go Black only, right? So shop Black and all that. And that makes a lot of sense, right? We want to shop Black. We want to keep our dollars in the community. But when it comes to networking, I don't know if that would actually be helpful to isolate, right? And cut off. So yeah, we got to have, in our community, we got to have our stuff tight, so that we can really bring something to the table at different tables. Right. We got to have our own tables so that we're not always, you know, fighting for a seat at someone else's table. At the same time, creating these diverse networks, and I mean diverse across all spectrums, gender, race, sexuality, like time in the business versus, you know, rookies in the business, all of those forms of diversity. If we could bring all that together in a way where natural mentorship happens, natural resource sharing happens, that's what I'm after right now. So that's what keeps me up at night in a good way. Yeah.
Man, I love that. I love that. We're going to talk offline.
Right? Yeah. I know, man, because you're in here, you're doing the work. And yeah, anyway, so.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So how can we as a community support you and what you're doing?
I mean, come drink coffee at Nolia. That's an easy one. If you are a impact-centered leader, impact-centered entrepreneur, and are looking for a tribe, come into that community, reach out. That's the Commonwealth of Enlightenpreneurs. That's a big, yeah. Other than that, man, I really just, I want to amplify impact. And so I want to do it together. So looking for like-hearted people like you, where what we can accomplish together is so much bigger than the sum of the parts.
Right. I absolutely love it.
So
and last question.
I want partners, man. That's what I want.
How can the people find you?
Oh, easiest, Instagram. That's where most of my content and whatever lives. That's where I spend most of my time as far as, you know, outreach and social media. So at Justin, Justin, Minott, Minott. And you can Google me. There's a lot of whatever resources out there, but Instagram is probably the best. Reach out. Let's be friends.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. I'm about to connect with you on Instagram. I know we connected on LinkedIn and Facebook, so I got to get with you.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, but Instagram is where I'm most active right now. So,
okay. All right, well, good. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing what you're doing. But most of all, I appreciate what you're building in the community and how you're trying to bridge the gap and bring us together. So I really appreciate you, my brother.
Thanks,
it's a pleasure to be connected to you, to know you, and I look forward to growing with you. So thank you again for being on our show. It's been another connected conversation with the impactful Justin Minott. I thank you for your time, and we will be talking with you again in the future. This has been another connected conversation. We'll see you again. Take care. Until then, everyone be blessed.